The grand chamber of the Galactic Council shimmered with lights from 100 alien worlds. Thousands of delegates filled the air with laughter. Their metallic voices echoed against the high crystal walls. The topic of the day was Earth, the small blue planet at the edge of the Orion Arm. They call themselves humans, one insectoid envoy hissed, waving its claws. But they still use chemical rockets. The chamber roared with laughter. Another alien, tall and scaled, added, "They cannot even defend one moon without panic. And they dream of joining the council." The laughter grew louder. Among them sat Captain Rian Vale, the only human present. His expression was calm, his dark uniform plain compared to the shining robes of other species. He did not rise. He did not speak. He only listened. Inside his heart burned, but his face stayed cold as stone. For decades, Earth had tried to earn respect in the galaxy. They had sent ambassadors, scientists, peace offers, but every time, the other species laughed. Humanity was seen as harmless, a curiosity, good for trade and little else. Their technology was considered ancient, their fleets obsolete. But Rian Vale knew something no one in the chamber did. Deep beneath the dust of Luna Base, hidden far under the gray surface, there slept something old, powerful, and very human. The project was called Reclaimer, a last resort born during the Dark Wars. Forgotten by most, remembered by only a few, the Council believed Earth had no weapon left. No fleet, no defense. They were wrong. The Prime Chancellor of the Council, a being made of golden light, floated above the center dais. "We have decided," it said, its voice vibrating through the hall. "Earth's request for planetary defense funding is denied. Humanity is too small to matter in our affairs." The words echoed like a final judgment. Some laughed, others clapped their claws and tendrils. The vote was complete. The galaxy had mocked Earth once again. Ryan stood slowly, his eyes sharp. His voice was quiet but carried across the chamber. "You think humanity is weak because we don't shout," he said. "You think we are small because we stay silent." He looked around at the alien faces, glowing eyes, scaled jaws, and mechanical masks staring back at him. "But silence is not weakness," he continued. "It is patience." The room fell silent for the first time. Even if only for a moment, a silver-skinned alien hissed, "What will patience bring you, human?" "You have no fleets, no weapons," Ryan smiled faintly. "You'll find out soon enough," he said. Outside the council chamber, far from the polished walls and shining banners, a message was already being transmitted through encrypted Terran channels. The signal passed through deep space relays, through asteroid bases long forgotten, until it reached Luna Base. There in the dark tunnels beneath the moon, machines older than living memory stirred awake. Red lights blinked to life. Dust fell from massive steel doors. A low hum filled the air as reactors reignited. The Luna AI core whispered the words, "Protocol Reclaimer. Reactivation in progress." On Earth, at the old Atlantic Command, General Miriam Holt received the coded message. Her eyes widened as she read the sequence. "So it's time," she whispered. She turned to her officers. "Wake the shipyards across the world." Hidden facilities that had lain dormant for centuries came to life. Subterranean bays filled with sound as ancient engines roared again. Deep within the Atlantic Trench, inside an armored vault, something enormous began to move. The Sol Reclaimer, humanity's last battleship, had waited in silence, wrapped in layers of carbon steel and memory. It was humanity's final secret, built when the old nations had united under one flag. A ship designed not for conquest but for survival. As power surged through its systems, blue light spread across its hull. The human symbol of unity appeared on its side, two wings surrounding a glowing Earth. Meanwhile, back at the council, Rian Vale walked through the starlit corridors alone. He looked up at the holographic map showing hundreds of alien worlds glowing bright, and one small blue dot nearly invisible at the edge. "You laugh now," he whispered softly. "But soon, the galaxy will remember why humans should never be underestimated." Behind him, the alien guards laughed as he left the chamber. They had no idea that far away, under the cold surface of the moon, humanity's answer was already rising. The laughter of the galaxy would not last long, because the battleship Reclaimer was waking up, and when it rose, no empire would ever mock Earth again beneath the cold gray surface of Luna. The ancient tunnels of the forgotten shipyards came alive. Massive steel doors that had not opened for centuries groaned under pressure. The walls trembled as energy flowed through conduits older than any living human. Dust fell like snow while the ground rumbled. General Miriam Holt stood inside the command chamber, her breath visible in the cold, recycled air. She had waited her entire career for this moment. The glowing console before her displayed the message in bold red text, Protocol Reclaimer, active. Her hands trembled slightly as she pressed the confirmation seal. "It's really happening," she whispered. Engineers and soldiers rushed through the corridors, wearing uniforms with the old Terran insignia. They moved with silent discipline, their faces lit by flickering lights. "All systems are responding, ma'am," one officer reported. "Core reactor is online, power stable, AI link re-established, deep below," sealed inside a chamber of reinforced titanium. The battleship Sol Reclaimer rested in silence. Its black armor shimmered faintly under the emergency lights. The ship was massive, kilometers long, a blend of human engineering and long-lost experimental technology. It was built not for beauty but for survival, forged during humanity's darkest years. As the lights spread across the hangar, the ship's AI woke from its centuries of sleep. Her voice echoed softly through the metal walls, calm and almost human. "Designation confirmed, Sol Reclaimer online. Awaiting command." General Holt closed her eyes, the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. "Welcome back, Aurora," she said, calling the ship by its AI name. The response came like a whisper. "Welcome back, General Holt, humanity endures." On Earth, cities still lived in ignorance of what was happening above to the public. The Galactic Council's mockery was just another political wound. But in secret bunkers and long-forgotten command stations, humanity's oldest warriors returned to duty. Colonel Vega, a veteran of the Mars Uprising, stood on the deck of a shuttle headed for Luna. He stared through the viewport, watching the moon's pale surface draw closer. "I thought I'd never see the old ghost again," he murmured. His co-pilot smiled weakly. "They laughed at us long enough, sir. It's time we remind them who we are." When they arrived, the sight stunned everyone. The hangar gates were open, revealing the colossal hull of the Sol Reclaimer. Engineers climbed its sides like ants repairing a god. Sparks rained down as welding torches repaired ancient plates. Every clang of metal echoed through the cavern like a heartbeat. "Begin core synchronization," Holt ordered. "Feed the reactor full charge." Blue energy pulsed through the ship's spine. The atmosphere vibrated as the old engines drank power for the first time in hundreds of years. The hum grew louder until the entire base shook. The main view deck lit up. Revealing the stars above through a transparent shield, Aurora's voice echoed again. "Calibration complete, all systems nominal. Stealth fields at 92% efficiency." Holt smiled faintly. "You remember everything, don't you?" she asked. "Every battle, every loss," Aurora replied. "I remember the war that ended the old Earth, and the promise that followed. Never again would humanity kneel." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Zelthari Empire's fleet gathered near the Sol system's border. Their sensors detected unusual activity near the moon. "It must be mining operations," the alien admiral said with a laugh. "They're probably digging for scrap metal." None of them knew what was really waking up. Back on Luna, Colonel Vega joined Holt in the command chamber. "Is it true?" he asked. "The Reclaimer can still fight?" Holt turned toward the massive viewing glass showing the ship's silhouette. "It can do more than fight," she said quietly. "It can remind the galaxy why humanity survived when others fell." At that moment, the ship's engines came fully online. The entire hangar shook violently as energy rippled through the chamber. Engineers shielded their faces from the blinding blue glow. A deep, thunderous hum filled the air like the heartbeat of a giant. Aurora spoke again, her tone stronger now. "All systems operational, awaiting orders." "General," Holt looked to Vega, then back to the ship. "We wait," she said. "We don't strike until they come to mock us again." She knew the Council would never stop testing humanity. The laughter of the aliens still rang in her ears. But soon it would be replaced by silence. In the farthest corner of the galaxy, encrypted Terran signals spread like wildfire. Every hidden base, every sleeper ship, every station from the old era received the same message. The Reclaimer has awakened. For the first time in centuries, humanity's true fleet began to stir, not in arrogance but in readiness. The galaxy had forgotten what humans were capable of. But as the Sol Reclaimer rose from its tomb beneath the moon, that memory was about to return. And this time the galaxy would not laugh. It would tremble. Far beyond Earth's moon, The void shimmered with the silver hulls of the Zelthari fleet. Hundreds of ships drifted in formation, their energy signatures pulsing like blue hearts in the dark. The Zelthari were proud conquerors. They had broken empires, silenced planets, and enslaved dozens of species. To them, humanity was nothing but a small, noisy world with old machines and fragile pride. Admiral Zhurkai, whose body gleamed with crystal scales, stared at the holographic projection of the Sol system. His voice was smooth and cold. "Transmit the ultimatum," he said. "Earth will surrender its world and all orbital rights, or face annihilation." His crew obeyed instantly. Beams of data shot across subspace toward Earth's communication network. On Luna, General Holt received the message. The alien voice echoed through the command center. Dripping with arrogance, "Humans of Earth, your request for council protection has been denied. You are ordered to disarm and yield. Resistance will be crushed." Silence filled the room. Colonel Vega clenched his fists. "They think we'll beg," he muttered. Holt's gaze stayed fixed on the message as it replayed. "No," she said calmly. "They think we forgot who we are." She turned toward the control podium. "Aurora, bring the reclaimer online." Inside the colossal hangar, the darkness broke into blinding light. Engines rumbled like awakening thunder. Magnetic clamps released their hold and the Sol reclaimer began to rise. Massive stabilizers glowed blue beneath its hull. The sound shook the tunnels as the ship ascended through the open lunar gate. Dust and debris scattered across the moon's surface. Aurora's voice resonated through the bridge, soft but commanding. "System stable, stealth field active, awaiting target data." General Holt stepped forward, her boots echoing across the deck. "You know what to do," she said, "but not yet. We wait for their first move, back on the alien flagship." Zhurkai smirked as a faint energy spike appeared near the moon. "A reactor surge?" he said with mock curiosity. "Perhaps their mining machines exploded." His crew laughed, none realizing what the humans had awakened beneath that gray surface. On the Sol reclaimer, the human crew moved with silent precision. Most of them had never seen battle, but they had been trained since childhood for this exact moment. Generations had guarded this secret, waiting for the day when Earth would be mocked one time too many. Aurora whispered through the intercom. "Incoming fleet detected. Distance 20 million kilometers and closing. Estimated contact in 6 hours." Holt exchanged glances with Vega. "They're coming fast," he said. "Good," she replied. "Then they'll see what patience looks like when it wakes." As the alien ships entered the outer edge of the solar system, their sensors went wild. Something massive appeared near Luna just for a second, then vanished. "Scan again," Zhurkai barked. "Nothing hides from us." But the readings came back empty. The reclaimer had slipped into phase cloak. Invisible to every alien sensor, the alien fleet advanced confidently, waves of cruisers and dreadnoughts forming an iron ring around Earth. "Charge weapons," Zhurkai ordered. "Target their satellites first." But before the command could be executed, every targeting system in the fleet glitched. Warning symbols flashed red. Then Black Aurora spoke quietly to Holt. "Enemy lock compromised. Stealth integrity at 98%. Holt smiled slightly. "Let them think their systems failed." Moments later, a small Terran transmission cut through the alien comms. It was Captain Ryan Vale's voice, calm and steady, broadcast from the council station. "To the Zelthari fleet," he said, "leave our skies, or face what you cannot comprehend." Zhurkai laughed so loudly the bridge shook. "Empty threats," he hissed. "Burn that world." Energy beams lanced toward Earth's upper orbit, but halfway there, the beams dissolved into nothing. The void shimmered like a mirror, and suddenly the Sol reclaimer emerged, enormous, silent, unstoppable. Its hull absorbed starlight. Reflecting nothing but darkness, every alien officer froze. Sensors screamed, warning alarms blared. The reclaimer's forward cannons began to charge, glowing brighter than the sun. For a heartbeat, time itself seemed to pause. Holt's voice echoed through the reclaimer's bridge. "For every insult, for every laugh, this is our answer." Aurora's voice followed. "Calm and absolute. Primary weapon ready. Firing." A single beam of white-blue light tore through the void, cutting across space like a divine blade. It passed through the alien command ship and half the fleet in an instant, leaving silence behind. There was no explosion, only a blinding flash and then emptiness. When the light faded, thousands of alien ships were simply gone, vaporized into stardust. The survivors broke formation, panic spreading faster than light. Back on Luna, Holt stared at the fading glow through the observation glass. Her voice was quiet. "They'll call it impossible," she said. Vega nodded slowly. "They'll call it human across the galaxy." The Council's sensors detected the energy burst. The same delegates who had mocked humanity hours ago stared in horror, realizing that the silence they once laughed at had finally spoken, and its voice was louder than any fleet. The stars above Mars burned crimson as wreckage drifted through the void. Fragments of Zelthari cruisers glowed like dying embers, spreading across the solar wind. The silence that followed the human strike was heavier than any sound. It was the silence of shock, of disbelief, of fear inside the Soul Reclaimer. The bridge lights pulsed softly. Captain Ryan Vale stood beside General Holt, watching the data scroll across the main display. "Half the fleet gone in a single discharge," Vega said quietly. "They won't believe it even when they see it." Holt's voice was calm but cold. "Then we'll teach them again if we must, far away." On surviving Zelthari vessels, panic rippled like fire through a dry forest. Communications jammed with screams and static. "The human weapon bypassed shields," one officer cried. "It erased mass signatures. It shouldn't exist." Admiral Zurkai's second-in-command shouted back. "Find that ship, destroy it before it fires again." But the Reclaimer was already gone. Its stealth drive folded space like a curtain, leaving only ripples in the gravitational field. Aurora's soft voice filled the human ship. "Coordinates locked, reposition complete." "Enemy sensors still blind," Ryan smiled faintly. "Good work, Aurora. Let them wonder where death came from." The AI's tone turned solemn. "They have not retreated yet, Captain. They will return stronger. I detect energy buildup on their flagship remains. Fragments still transmitting commands," Holt nodded. "Then we hit them again, not to destroy, but to warn." The Reclaimer emerged near the orbit of Jupiter, where the second wave of alien ships approached, massive carriers unfolding their wings of plasma. The humans watched quietly, their screens filled with countless enemy signatures. "They think we're magic," Vega muttered. "Let's show them science," the fire pattern Helios, Holt ordered. The ship's cannons rotated. Dozens of smaller ports opened across the hull, launching clusters of shimmering orbs. Each orb vanished, then reappeared deep within the alien formation, pulsing with silent blue light. Aurora's voice whispered, "Release in 3, 2, 1. Light erupted without sound. The orbs detonated in synchronized bursts of electromagnetic fury, disabling every alien system within seconds. Their weapons shut down, their engines froze, their shields collapsed. Ships that once roared with power drifted lifeless among the stars. Ryan watched as the screen filled with hundreds of floating hulks. "Non-lethal," he said quietly. "We gave them mercy." Holt looked at him. "Mercy today," she answered, "but if they return, they'll face extinction. On the Council world." The emergency session began in chaos. Delegates shouted, demanding answers. How did they hide such technology? How did primitives build a ship that erases fleets? The Prime Chancellor's voice trembled as it spoke. "Send observers, we must confirm, perhaps. Perhaps the humans are not as primitive as we believed." But confirmation came faster than words. Across a dozen systems, every listening post picked up the same message. A calm human voice broadcast across open space. "To all who mocked, to all who threatened, humanity asks nothing but peace. But if you bring war to our home, you will not find conquest. You will find silence," the signal repeated once, then ended among the stars. The Zelthari remnants limped away. Their once mighty fleet shattered. Some called for vengeance, others for retreat. But deep inside every alien heart, fear took root. Back on the Sol Reclaimer, the crew gathered on the viewing deck. Through the transparent dome, they could see the Earth rising behind the moon, glowing calm and blue. Holt spoke softly. "They laughed at us for centuries, called us small, backward, weak. But weakness ends today." Aurora's lights dimmed slightly. "Incoming Council transmission," she said. "They request communication." Holt turned to Ryan. "Let them wait," she said. "They'll speak when we decide." The great ship turned slowly toward deep space, its engines humming like a heartbeat of steel. In its wake, the shattered remains of an empire drifted, silent witnesses to the truth. The first strike was not just a victory, it was a message carved into the fabric of the galaxy. Humanity was awake again, and the stars would never forget it. Word of the impossible battle traveled faster than light, from the broken Zelthari fleets to the distant trade hubs. Whispers spread across every frequency. The humans destroyed an armada, some said. A single ship erased half a fleet, others whispered. No one knew what to believe, but every species felt the same thing: fear. In the glittering towers of the Galactic Council world, panic replaced pride. The same delegates who mocked Earth now spoke in trembling voices. We underestimated them, hissed the scaled envoy of Varnex Prime. They possess weapons older than the Council itself, a crystalline ambassador replied coldly. No, they built something new, something beyond logic. The Prime Chancellor, whose golden form once glowed bright, now flickered like a dying flame. Send fleets to monitor them, it said. Do not engage. Observe only. But even as orders left the council halls, commanders across the stars hesitated. None wished to approach the Terran borders again. In the Zelthari capital, Admiral Zurkai sat in the dim light of his command chamber, his eyes hollow. We have lost 2/3 of our strength, his aide whispered. Our colonies are in chaos. Zurkai stared at the tactical map showing the Sol system glowing red. We mocked their silence, he said slowly. And now silence is all that answers. Across the stars, markets crashed, alliances shifted, and fear replaced arrogance. Merchants refused to travel through human sectors. Patrols changed routes. Some smaller races began to send messages of peace to Earth, hoping to earn favor before it was too late. Back on the Sol Reclaimer, General Holt stood at the observation deck, watching the sun rise over the curve of Earth. The ship hovered quietly above the atmosphere, its black armor glimmering faintly. Aurora's voice broke the silence. Incoming transmissions from 16 star systems, most requesting dialogue. Holt folded her arms. Dialogue, she murmured. The same voices that once laughed. Captain Ryan Vale stepped forward. What do we tell them? He asked. Holt looked out at the rising light. We tell them nothing yet, let them think. Let the fear settle. In the ship's lower decks, soldiers gathered in silence, watching the feeds of alien news channels. Every broadcast carried one phrase: the human battleship. Some showed blurred images of the Reclaimer's silhouette. Others displayed diagrams and wild theories. They say it's powered by a dying star, one crewman whispered. They say it bends time, another replied. Vega smiled faintly. Let them say what they want. The truth scares them more. Meanwhile, in a distant system near the Rim worlds, a small alien child stared at a holographic newsfeed. Her father whispered. That is the human ship? The child asked softly. Are they monsters? The father shook his head slowly. No, little one. They are survivors. On Earth, people lived their normal lives unaware of the scale of what they had done. But inside the hidden command centers, the truth was known. Humanity had crossed the line between myth and power. They were no longer the weak ones in galactic eyes. They were the storm everyone feared. General Holt returned to the bridge. Aurora's soft tone greeted her. The council requests direct communication. Holt considered it, then nodded. Patch them through. The holographic chamber filled with light. And the Golden Chancellor appeared. Human representative, it said cautiously. The council wishes to discuss peace and regulation of weapons technology. Ryan Vale stepped beside Holt, his eyes sharp. Regulation? He repeated quietly. You mean control? The Chancellor hesitated, its glow dimming. The galaxy must feel safe again. Ryan's expression hardened. Then perhaps it should stop provoking the ones who only wanted peace. A long silence followed. The Chancellor finally said, The Council will issue a formal apology to Earth. Holt leaned forward slightly. Keep your apology, she said. Respect will do. And with a small gesture, she ended the transmission. Aurora's lights shimmered faintly. To the You're afraid, General, she said. Holt exhaled slowly. Good, she answered. Fear is memory, and memory keeps peace. In the depths of the Sol Reclaimer, engines rumbled softly. The ship waited like a sleeping giant, ready but restrained around Earth. Other long-forgotten shipyards stirred. Silhouettes of massive warships began to appear beneath the oceans. Within the mountains and deep in orbit, humanity had not only awakened one ship, but an entire generation of Titans. The galaxy now watched in silence. Afraid to breathe too loud, afraid to mock too soon. The humans had spoken once, and that one word, survival, had shaken the stars themselves. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so silent. For centuries it was filled with pride, laughter, and endless debate. But now the air felt heavy, tense, and cold. Holographic banners of 1,000 empires flickered weakly around the circular hall. The golden chancellor floated above the center, its glow dimmed to a faint shimmer. Every delegate present had one thing in common: fear. Reports from every corner of the galaxy lay on the tables. Ships gone missing, fleets refusing orders, soldiers whispering the same two words in fear: human battleship. They cannot be allowed to expand, hissed a Varnex general, his reptilian eyes glowing red. If we do not act, humanity will dominate us all. A crystalline envoy struck the table with its hand. Act? It shouted. We did act, and their single ship erased an armada. What happens when they unleash 10? The room erupted into arguments, species shouting over each other, voices overlapping like thunder. We should destroy Earth now before it's too late. No, they warned us once already. Perhaps negotiation, perhaps surrender. The Chancellor raised its voice. Enough. The word echoed through the hall like a shockwave. Our arrogance created this, and now we must face it. Humanity has achieved what none of us believed possible. A holographic image appeared above the table, showing the Sol Reclaimer, drifting silently near the moon. Its black armor reflected no light, its scale dwarfing anything known. We will send envoys, the Chancellor said slowly. If they refuse to cooperate, we unite our fleets. Every empire together, but deep inside, everyone knew it wouldn't matter. Meanwhile, on Luna, the Sol Reclaimer rested in silent orbit. Crew members watched from the observation windows as Earth glowed beneath them like a blue gem. Aurora's voice filled the bridge softly. Incoming long-range signal, Council transmission. Priority Alpha. Holt looked up, her expression calm. Play it. The hologram of the Chancellor appeared, its light flickering weakly. General Holt, Captain Vale. The Council requests your presence for peace negotiation. The galaxy cannot afford another war. Holt exchanged a glance with Rian. Another war? She repeated quietly. The last one never truly ended. The Chancellor hesitated. You misunderstand. We seek unity, not surrender. Ryan smiled faintly. When humanity asked for unity, you gave us laughter, Holt added. Now we give you silence. I'll return to Aurora. End transmission. In the council chamber, the golden light of the hologram faded, leaving a hall full of trembling delegates. They rejected us, the Chancellor said softly. Its glow dimmed completely. Then we have only one choice. Within hours, the largest combined fleet in galactic history was assembled. Armadas from every empire, dreadnoughts from 100 species, weapon platforms that had not been activated in millennia. It was a storm of metal, fire, and fear. The galaxy's pride gathered to stand against one world. As the fleet prepared for departure, one elder being from the Androran Alliance whispered, We are not facing a species, we are facing history itself. Back near Earth, the sensors on the Sol Reclaimer flared with new signals. Vega frowned. That's half the Council's strength. Holt's expression didn't change. And half their fear. Aurora's lights pulsed gently. Shall we respond, General? Holt nodded. Not yet, let them come closer. The human fleet, once hidden beneath oceans and deep within mountains, began to rise one by one. The Titans awakened, their hulls glowing with the mark of the old Terran Alliance. Each ship massive, dark, and silent, hundreds of them. The Reclaimer led the formation, its engines humming like a heart of thunder. From every corner of Earth, civilians watched the skies, beams of light piercing through clouds as the ships ascended. Children pointed upward in awe, unaware that their world was about to rewrite galactic history. In the Galactic Council chamber, new panic began. Their fleet, how many? One delegate shouted. 50? 100? The analyst trembled. 216 confirmed human signatures. Silence, then chaos. They cannot have built that many. Their planet doesn't have the resources. It's impossible. The Chancellor stared at the data, its voice barely a whisper. Impossible has always been humanity's favorite word. Back in orbit, Holt looked upon the fleet through the transparent dome. The Earth reflected on her eyes like a promise. For every insult, for every lie, they will now understand, she said quietly, that our silence was never weakness. Ryan nodded, his voice steady. Then it's time. Let them see the truth. Aurora's voice echoed through every ship in the Terran fleet. All systems synchronized, awaiting command. Holt raised her hand. This is not war, she said. This is remembrance. And as her command reached every human ship, engines roared across the heavens. Thousands of lights ignited, spreading across the darkness like new stars. The galaxy had gathered for a final meeting, but it was not the Council that would speak last, it was Earth. Darkness filled the edge of known space. The vast united fleet of the Galactic Council waited in formation. Thousands of alien ships spread like a metal sea across the stars. Weapons glowed, reactors thrummed. Entire suns flickered from the sheer energy they carried. Every captain among them whispered the same silent question, can we win against them? From far away the human fleet emerged. Silent, black and endless, hundreds of warships, each carrying the mark of Earth, moved in perfect unity. No communication, no visible signals, only purpose at the center. Larger than them all, floated the Sol Reclaimer, calm, steady, unstoppable. Inside its bridge, General Holt stood tall, her eyes fixed on the holographic map filled with hostile signatures. Captain Ryan Vale stood beside her. They came with everything they have, he said. Holt nodded slowly. Good. Now they'll listen. Aurora's voice filled the chamber, warm and clear. All systems ready, weapons locked, defense matrix active, awaiting orders. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Holt raised her hand. Hold fire, she said. No battle today. Across the alien armadas, tension grew. Commanders shouted through intercoms, expecting the human attack, but nothing happened. The Reclaimer held its position, silent, proud, and bright like a second sun. Then a transmission began, open on every frequency. It reached every ship, every colony, every world that had ever doubted humanity. The image appeared, General Holt standing on the bridge. Earth visible behind her, calm and blue, her voice was steady and deep. To all civilizations of this galaxy, she said, you called us weak, you called us small. For centuries you laughed while we built in silence. Her eyes burned like fire. We did not build for conquest. We built to survive. We do not seek your worlds, your thrones, or your empires. But if you threaten our people again, if you bring your war to our sky, then you will meet what your arrogance has awakened. The camera shifted, showing the human fleet behind her. Thousands of ships aligned like stars reborn. You fear our power, Holt continued. You should not fear, instead, what made it. Every scar, every loss, every world we rebuilt taught us one lesson. Humanity endures. Silence filled the airwaves. Not one alien voice replied. Not one dared. The entire galaxy listened. Aurora's voice then joined the transmission, soft yet commanding. This message will echo through every system, through every empire, until memory replaces fear with respect. On the alien flagship, Admiral Zhirkai lowered his head slowly. End the war, he whispered. We cannot fight ghosts that bleed. His officers looked at him in confusion, but no one argued. Ships began shutting down weapons. One by one in the council chamber, the Golden Chancellor watched the transmission end. Its glow faded completely. They could have destroyed us all, it said quietly. But they didn't, a voice from the shadows replied. That's what makes them dangerous. Back on the Sol Reclaimer, Holt turned to Ryan. Transmit full recall order. The fleet returns home, he nodded. Yes. General, the massive warships shifted course, turning their hulls toward the distant blue glow of Earth. Engines burned silently, leaving trails of light behind them like falling comets. Aurora spoke softly as the stars reflected off her holographic form. Will they remember this peace, General? Holt watched the receding alien fleets in the distance. They will, she said, because fear fades, but respect lasts forever. As the human armada disappeared into the deep dark, only whispers remained across the galaxy. The words carried through every world, from crystal cities to desert moons. Do not provoke Earth. The Reclaimer watches. And in that endless silence of space where once the galaxy mocked and laughed, now it only listened because humanity had spoken, and the stars would remember forever.